because you might want a $6 million house, and I'm just hypothetically saying $6 million, but no one really buys the first house unless you're a big time millionaire. But you may want
a small loan of $1 million.
You buy a house, maybe let's say you want to get a big 3-4 family house, or maybe a 3-bedroom home with just a family, and you in your head you're thinking you're going to spend $500,000, but guess what? Your income and what you bring in, and then your debt to income ratio will really determine how much the bank would give you to borrow for a home.
You are listening to Money Matters Podcast. Step into a world full of worth and financial intelligence. Dedicated to bringing awareness, empowering the world to financial freedom and personal development.
Once again, welcome to the Money Matters Podcast. I go by the name Clever Pinero. I'm in the studio with a professional investor, Alex. And today we got KIMONA Hansen in the house. KIMONA is a realtor. She's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She's really, really, really good at, helping people find houses, finding homes, your dream homes. If you're trying to live the American dream, you want to invest in real estate. She's so knowledgeable about it. She could help you guys find a place, especially people that want to invest. If you want to buy a house for the first time, she's very knowledgeable about it. And she's in the studio today, and she's going to give us a rundown of the process of buying a house in America. If you want to purchase a house, if you want to own your own place, if you want to invest in a house, she's the person to talk to. She's in the studio, and she's going to introduce herself a little bit to you guys, and then we take it from there. Any comments, Alex?
Yes, all those looking to get into the business of owning their own homes and actually getting investment properties and stuff like that, this is the podcast for you. From the process of looking and finding lawyers for contracts and all of that, she's here to brief you on all of that. So sit tight and listen up.
It's a lot of people that want to own houses, but they don't spend the time to learn the process. They just dreaming, they just dreaming of owning houses, but they're not doing anything about it.
The funny thing is, people don't even know when they're ready. They think they're ready, but they might not be. So this is very important for people.
KIMONA's going to help them. She's going to give out a lot of information. So pay attention, grab a pen and paper, take notes. What's going on, KIMONA?
Hello, back again. Thank you again for inviting me to your show. So like you said it all. Like, no one really knows or some people think they're ready to buy a home. Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions that one can ever make. And there is never a wrong time to really buy a home. But obviously you need to have the right finances. Your finances have to be in good shape. And, what does that mean? A lot of people don't know what their debt to income ratio is. And when you're buying a house, your debt to income ratio cannot exceed over 30%. A lot of times people say GTI. And then your credit score, you really have to have optimal, a good score. It should be optimal, more than 600. And, home ownership, it creates a sense of, pride and accomplishment. So knowing that you have good credit, knowing that you have no debt, really puts you in a position to really get to that level of owning a home. Owning a home is also a tangible financial benefit, which includes value appreciation, tax advantages, and automatic savings. So once you've made a commitment that you want to buy a house and you want to get all of the information to move forward to the next steps, you then want to look into getting talking to a loan officer. You want to talk to a mortgage lender. You maybe want to go to your own local bank, because at that time, your local lender, your bank representative will be able to go through your finances, will be able to see where your debt to income ratio is and where you fall into, what numbers you fall into, so that he or she can tell you how much you can borrow. Because you might want a $6 million house, and I'm just hypothetically saying $6 million, but no one really buys the first house unless you're a big time millionaire. But you may want a
small loan of $1 million.
You buy a house, maybe let's say you want to get a big 3-4 family house, or maybe a 3-bedroom home with just a family, and you in your head you're thinking you're going to spend $500,000, but guess what? Your income and what you bring in, and then your debt to income ratio will really determine how much the bank would give you to borrow for a home. So once you kind of have an idea of where you fall into, the lender will issue you a pre-approval. The pre-approval basically is a preliminary approval from the bank saying that you've been approved for up to a certain amount. And so then you would then take the next steps of finding an agent. You would hire an agent, and typically it's called a buyer's agent. So typically a buyer's agent would basically assist you with the home buying process. They would have a one-on-one consultation with you, whether over the phone or in their office, and they will talk about your needs and what it is that you're looking for in a property. And so it's during that process, the agent will kind of give you a breakdown of the housing market, what the climate is like, and if we're in a buyer's market, if we're in a seller's market. And sometimes those two things are really important to know, because that will determine how long you're going to be in the market looking for a property. At this present time in 2020, we are in a strong seller's market, even though things are happening in, with the interest rates down very low. And what a buyer's market means is that, a seller's market, what that means is that there are more buyers than sellers. And so for every 10 homes, you have about 100 buyers. So there's a lot of competition still. And so with that being said, if there's a strong seller's market, that just means that it can take you a little bit longer to find the property that you like, because for every home, there's about 10 buyers to each home. So, once you're working with an agent will explain all these things to you. They will go through the process of finding a home. They will give you access to a multiple listing service, which is a portal that allows you to see homes that are in your market area. And so if you're in the Bronx, your realtor will give you access to the Bronx MLS so that you can see whatever homes that are on the market that fit your budget range based on your pre-approval. And you can then start browsing through the portal, looking at homes that fit the criteria that you gave your realtor. So if you told your realtor you're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom under $500,000, those are the type of homes you'll be getting through email. And through that process, you'll be able to select the properties that you would like to go out to view. Your real estate agent will set up appointments for you guys to view those properties. Now, obviously, you are shopping for a property, but you're looking at properties that are based on what you've told your realtor, the criteria you gave your realtor. So it shouldn't really take you that long to find your dream home.
So not to cut you off,
right?
When you talk about pre-approval, there may be some people listening, they have no idea what that is. What's a pre-approval, and do you need to get that before you even speak to a realtor?
I see, yes and no. And the reason why I say yes and no, you may not even know about a pre-approval, but I think that in order to put yourself ahead of the game, you do want to talk to, the first thing is you want to contact your lender. But if you have a realtor, or you know a realtor, or maybe you have a friend who's closed on a house and she has a realtor, you can ask to be referred, and then that realtor can connect you with a lender. But it is actually imperative to talk to a real estate agent, because the agent will be able to direct you. Sometimes realtors have access to a Rolodex of really great lenders who offer really great rates, who offer really great programs for first-time home buyers. So first step is to contact and find an agent. Find an agent that in your local area, or someone you know through a referral. You can talk to me. I will have my information at the end of the show. Or you can talk to a friend who has closed and they can connect you. But definitely speak to a realtor first. And the realtor will connect you with a lender if you do not have one or don't know how to go about finding a lender. Okay. And then, so, a lot of times the mortgage, you mentioned, what is the mortgage pre-qualification? The mortgage pre-qualification process is basically it gives you an idea of how much you can spend on your new home. This is often the first question many people don't know, and they need to know how much to spend on their home. So it's really important to always have an idea of how much you can purchase. Your mortgage professional will play a vital role in making sure you know where you fall into, and so that you don't go over the threshold, because no lending company will give you more money than what you can afford. That's why I said your debt to income ratio should not exceed more than 30%.
So they look at your credit score and your debt to income ratio, and I guess your income.
Yes.
And do you have to have is that a specific amount that you have to have in your account to know that, you know what, I'm ready to buy a house, or I'm ready to look into buying a house?
Yes.
And sorry, Kimona, before you answer that question, what is the debt to income ratio? Because most listeners don't know what that is.
Okay. So your debt to income ratio should not exceed 30%. And so 30%. So if you have, let's say you have a card of $3,000, your debt, so you can only use up to 30% on your card. So for every loan or debt that you have, it should not exceed 30% of your income. And so you have to keep it under 30%. So if you have 1,000, you should have 30% left. So that way the rest of it is, under the 30% cap. So, and they check on that. They look at all of that for each and every one of your loans or debt or everything.
So basically you want to make sure that you owe less money as possible.
That's correct.
Just owe less money or owe no money, close to zero as possible. That way you don't have to worry about that.
Yep. And I meet tons of people every day who say they don't have debt. So that's good if you have no debt. Now, if you have debt and I connect you with the lender can actually help you to eliminate those debts by, there's a process in place that he or she may have so that you can get rid of some debt.
Oh, okay. So, but how much do you have to have in your account? Like, what would be that makes sense? Like
So think about it this way: you should have 2 times what you think you will. Okay, so a lot of people don't know how much to put down as a down payment. So I always tell people you may want to have at least up to $50,000 in your account. You may not even use all 50. You may use 50. It depends. But if you have more than $50,000 in your account, then you're in good shape. I've known some people who've had $20,000 and I've been able to get them a home because I've used different strategies. There are seller closing costs where the seller can come out of pocket and pay for the closing fees. And so obviously if that's the case, then maybe you may not have 50,000, you may have like 15 or 20. And, but there are always various different, ways to, put together a closing so that somebody doesn't have to come out too much out of pocket.
So basically, when you talk to an agent or you talk to your realtor or your mortgage originator, whoever you talk to, you want to be as open as possible and let them know your situation so they will know how to help you. Because you don't know, you don't have that much knowledge about the process, so you can't just go over there and tell stories that don't exist. You tell them you be realistic and you let them know how your finances are, like your credit score. Or let them know everything so they could come up with a way to help you. Right.
So there is so many different ways to help someone who may not have a lot of money in their account, but has money for a down payment. So again, it all really depends. First time home buyers, there is a program that allows you to put down 3.5%. Obviously, there is a private mortgage insurance that they add to it, which is called PMI. So is an extra $100, $300 that goes on top of your mortgage. But it allows you to purchase a home in the beginning, and then maybe within a year or 2, you can refinance your loan so that it's back to, so that the PMI can drop.
All right. So, thank you, Kimona. Looking to get a home, you should actually start with you doing your homework by actually making sure you owe less money. Also, making sure you have a little bit of money saved up.
That's right.
Then find an agent. Talk to them. If possible, they'll refer you to like a mortgage banker who would give you the pre-qualification form.
Right.
And then from there, I think that's where you left off.
Yeah. So you want to identify your needs and, creating a wish list for the kind of home that you want to purchase, it will be very useful in making sure you can find the kind of home that you want. And so that way you can communicate it to your real estate agent. You want to know the location of where you want to buy a house. You want to know the schools, what type of school district you want to be in, the pricing, and then how much you want to invest, potentially, because, the money is a factor. You may want a very beautiful home, but financially it may not be good for you guys long term. So, and then the amenities, like, are you looking for a place that has a pool? Are you looking for a place that has a pool, a playground, a style? There's so much more. So you have to identify your needs, priorities, and concerns, which enables you to have the most optimal experience with your real estate agent, and then finding a home that you would really like and then close on it in the long term. So you really have to know what is like important to you and what's important to your family. And that's really the key to really getting the best experience with your realtor, so that you guys can get to the closing table.
All right, so now somebody is with you. They've told you, they've gotten to the point where they've told you their needs, what they're looking for, their income and stuff like that. Where do they go from there? Or you go with them?
So, like I mentioned earlier, I would give them access to a portal, a multiple listing service, which allows them to do home searches and look at homes based on the criteria that they gave me.
Right.
So that portal, they can save homes that they like, and then I would actually set up showings. We would go see about 4 or 5 properties a day, or however based on their schedule, but we would go out and we will start looking at those properties. And once we find something that the person likes, we would then move forward with submitting an offer.
Okay, so after that you submit an offer, and if the offer should get accepted, that's when they find a lawyer, or at what point do they
So
find
before
a lawyer?
we even get to the lawyer piece of it, we would do a home inspection. So the home inspection should always be done after the house has an accepted offer. Normally within 2 to 3 business days, you always want to do an inspection of the home to make sure there is no issues with the foundation, the electrical, plumbing, just pretty much everything that you can think of when it comes to house, because a house can look pretty from the outside, but you don't know what's going on in the inside. So it's really
so the inspector basically, because you're not so knowledgeable about how the house is supposed to be, you hire somebody that knows how everything that needs to be on point before you get into the house.
Right.
And this person comes in and basically inspect everything for you to make sure this person's working for you to make sure that everything's on point, and then he will, give you an okay to buy the house.
Yeah, because basically your house will be under like a magnifying glass. This is like one of the most important steps during the home buying process. And I think it's so important to everyone to not skip this step. Finding a really good inspector to really go into the house, to really look through the house, to investigate what underlying issues may be there, and what things may have been overlooked during the time that you guys went there to look at the home, because there are things that come up that you would not know if you don't have an inspection. For example, I'll give you an example. When I bought my first house, I didn't realize there was like an underground room where it had water. Like, how did the inspector miss that? So we ended up spending like almost $4,000 to $5,000 getting sub pumps to pump the water out. We could have saved $10,000 on our sale of price if we knew that.
If you knew that, yeah.
So it's really, really important to really have an inspection done. As an agent will help you every step of the way to find a really good inspector, and to ensure that the inspection is really meets your expectations, especially for a home, because during the inspection too, you can use that as leverage to renegotiate the price on the offer that you've submitted. Because sometimes, you might want to, ask for like a few thousands here and there off, depending on what issues may be found during the inspection. So your realtor really does help and really assist you to ensure that you're really getting the best deal possible for a property that you're buying for the rest of your life, because it's a long-term investment.
Great. So you get an inspector, they inspect the house, they give you the report, and you and your realtor go through it. And at that point is when you get a lawyer? Or?
Right. So I would then recommend an attorney. If you have an attorney, fine. But if you don't, I would recommend an attorney that I work with. The attorney would then work.
Do you need a lawyer? Do you need a lawyer?
Absolutely. You need a lawyer. It's really imperative to have a lawyer, because you just don't know what you're getting yourself into. A house can have violations, and without a realtor, an attorney, you wouldn't know that. The attorney is able to pull title and to see what underlying or what issues are around the home.
Tickets. All that
Tickets. Because what if you don't have an attorney and you just sign a contract and you buy a house that has violations? Those violations don't go away. They stay with the house, and now you're responsible for it. Had you had an attorney, the attorney would have reviewed it. he would have given you the best course of action, and he would have mitigated all of those things so that way you don't have a house that you're buying with all these violations. So it's very imperative to get an attorney. An attorney is really not that expensive in a real estate transaction. It runs anywhere from $1,500 to about $2,000. Like I said, if you have a real estate agent that you're working with, she would find you a licensed attorney who would, be fair with the price and everything.
So once you get the you get the attorney, and then what's next after that?
So the attorney would receive the contract. Will get the contracts from the seller's attorney, and then they would contact you and have you come to their office to review the contracts. So he'll review the contracts and all the details in the contracts to make sure that you agree with everything before you sign. He would basically explain everything in the contract so that you understand.
So your attorney is gonna talk. The seller also has an attorney.
The seller has his own attorney. You have your own attorney. You guys do not use the same attorney.
Oh, so they communicate, and then they
do all the best
interest for you guys.
That's correct. So the attorneys will communicate on your behalf. Your attorney will communicate on your behalf. The seller's attorney will communicate on the seller's behalf. And so until you guys come to a mutual agreement and then finally sign.
That's all for today. Until we meet again next time, never stop learning. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to our channel. Email us at themoneymatterspodcast@gmail.com.